Have you been struggling in the Tower of Adversity? Do you only have one limited DPS and you don't know who else to use? Don't worry, because in this video, I will show you how to get 30 stars in the Tower of Adversity. First, what do you need for this guide? Well, all you need is Farina, Zhang, which was free not too long ago, one limited DPS of your choice, and some 4 stars. After looking at the statistics chart for the Tower of Adversity, I've noticed that pretty much everyone has a limited DPS, which is either Jian, Jinchi or Camellia. Echoes are the same for you and me, so I'll be using my usual sets. Some sets are bad, some sets are better, it all depends on your luck. But if you want to challenge the tower, I recommend getting at least a decent Echo set on your main DPS. This being at least 65% crit rate and 225% crit damage, as well as leveling them up to level 90 and level 10 their most important abilities. Now, let's start on the left. This side is Havok favored in this patch. Resonators gain 30% Havok damage bonus, as well as 20% crit damage and 40% basic attack damage bonus. Camellia can be a great pick for this side, but Dungeon will work just as great. The sub DPS you want to use is none other than Mortefi. His heavy attack damage bonus will increase Dungeon's damage by quite a bit. But if you have Jian and want to use him later on in the middle tower, you can also use Sanhua to support Dungeon. Sanhua gives basic attack damage bonus, which is not really needed, but her fast concerto can help Dungeon quite a bit. For the first 3 floors, you don't need a healer, since her damage will be quite high, so the enemies will most likely fall to the floor faster than you lose health. The first 2 floors are quite easy and don't need an explanation. The third floor, however, has 2 flautists. They can deal sudden damage and Dungeon will be in danger, so make sure to keep track of their attacks and swap to Mortefi if necessary. And if you have your fully charged Forte, make sure you position yourself so you deal damage to both of them at the same time. Finally, floor 4. Here we are not using Dungeon, but Zhang Liao and Farina. And I will explain why once we arrive at the right tower. First, we have some rocks, so position in front of them so you can ult them, pulling them all together. After that, you want to keep doing your rotation, making sure your big resonance skill hits all the enemies. For the part with the monkey, you want to quick swap between Zhang Liao and Farina, making sure you deal as many hits as possible. And, if done correctly, you should be able to clear this floor with 3 stars as well. Now, we can go to the right side. This side is heavily focused on fusion and skill damage. Resonators gain 30% fusion damage, as well as 20% attack and 40% skill damage bonus. So, in the first 3 floors, you can use Chisha and Tauchi. Tauchi buffs the skill damage from Chisha, whilst also protecting her from dying. Again, the first 2 floors are quite easy and shouldn't need an explanation. The third floor, however, has flautists again, as well as a Chasm Guardian. You want to focus the flautists first, seeing how they fill the battlefield with orbs, pools and projectiles. After that, you can focus down the giant. For the final floor, it is going to be tricky, but doable. Here, we will use Dungeon instead of Zhang Liao, since the enemy has high electro resistance. Your teammates on this floor can be Mortefi and Farina, making her able to rotate pretty fast for her teammates. Dungeon's core damage is her heavy attack. The problem is, the Tempest Mephis teleports every so many seconds, so you have to time your charge attack with him so he doesn't teleport your damage. The main tip I can give you on this side is don't use a parry, but rather a counter attack. Because in this way, Dungeon will charge your Forte circuit a lot faster. And finally, the Hazard Tower. This one has a general buff, granting 30% attribute damage bonus, as well as 15% attack and 15% damage bonus. First, I'll be using Zhang Liao with Sanhua as his support and Baizhi as his healer. Sanhua won't be doing much for him, but it is a bit of extra damage, as well as an extra intro skill which you need to activate the tower's buffs. On the first floor, your main focus is to never let the fallacy of no return reach the sky. You can achieve this by quick swapping to your support and or sub DPS, so you can build up concerto energy while Zhang Liao is in his long animations. This might take a couple tries to perfect, but it's definitely worth it to practice quick swapping long rotation windows. And for the final floor, you can use your own limited 5-star units. This is the hardest floor, so whilst explaining, I'll be showcasing 3 different main DPSs to show you how to clear it. One of the DPSs will be GHIBLI instead of GHIBLI, since she can't really clear this floor because of the spectral resistance. But if you have GHIBLI, you can use it on the 4th floor on the left resonant tower instead. So you can use GHIBLI on this floor. If you're using Jian, you can use Sanwa with Dungeon on the resonant tower. Or, if you're feeling confident, you don't need a support for Dungeon at all. And you can use Baiji instead of Farina on floor 4 on the left tower, since Jian benefits greatly from having both Mortefi and Farina. First, there are 3 worms and 2 wolves. You want to position behind the worms to keep everything together. Then, you want to position yourself so you can hit everything with your nuke. After that, it is a simple boss fight. Hit as hard and fast as you can, with GHIBLI using quick swap, Jian being a hyper carry, and Camellia also being a hyper carry with her special rotation. And there you go. Now you should have been able to clear the Tower of Adversity. If you have any more clearing questions, feel free to ask me. If you enjoyed this video, may you recommend the video on the screen right now. I appreciate you all. Bye bye.